Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, when the store is quiet, I get to watch movies and series and talk about them with my friends that work here. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Russell.
Hello.
How are you, G-Force?
Run yourself, dude.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for always asking. Nice. Cole, how are you, man?
I'm fine.
We've missed you.
Yeah, I've missed you.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
It has been a while.
It's lovely to have you back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And
again.
hello, everyone, and welcome to our video store. Thank you for wandering in. We have ourselves a very special day today, and a lovely day. This is the Clerks episode, where the three of us get to talk about the movies and the series that we're watching. It is a nice, unbridled, uninterrupted chat about that. Later this week, on Thursday, is our guest episode, and we're going to have a very great, very exciting filmmaker, Sarah, who is making her feature debut at the Encounters Film Festival.
Oh, rad.
With a very exciting film that, funny enough, plays very much into what we're going to talk about today. Her film is called Black People Don't Get Depressed, which immediately from its title is intriguing.
It is intriguing.
And so it is all about mental health and stigmas and talking about your feelings. And I want us today to talk about Inside Out 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That
it's
makes
weird
sense.
that it
It's
all
a
kind
good
of
connection.
It's weird that it all kind of plays in. But let's just make a quick announcement for all those busy browsing the aisles right now. Attention all customers, this is to let you know that the Encounters Documentary Film Festival is here. These are documentaries from South Africa and around the world, and there are screenings in both Cape Town and Joburg. The Bioscope is proud to be one of the Joburg venues, and all the tickets are available on our website, thebioscope.co.za. Otherwise, head over to encounters.co.za. All right, lekker.
Nice.
Just like many of the years before, we've already got like 3 or 4 screenings already sold out
Cool.
for Encounters.
That's nice.
So lovely. And it's always in the darkest, coldest time of the year. It's always at the end of June. And it's always such a treat to just have this like warmth
Yes.
and this coziness and this like, I don't know, fertilizer for your brain. I keep saying these documentaries are all just like they enrich the bioscope.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
definitely.
It's like a good sort of healthy rain.
That's cool.
Let's talk about Inside Out 2.
Yes.
So this director, her name is Kelsey Mann, and it's her feature film debut. So
Really?
I was looking at like what
huge.
she's done before within Pixar, because you know obviously that pipeline works to take like art directors and writers and promote them
Yeah.
into directors.
Yeah.
And she wrote The Good Dinosaur,
Okay.
which I really loved.
I
That
like
was
that
a
movie.
really
Yeah.
good one.
I
was a
enjoyed that
really
movie.
good
It was
one.
so cute.
Yeah.
But so she just directed shorts before, which all of them
Yeah.
usually do. But one of the things she directed was Magus XLR.
Oh,
What is that?
wild.
It's a TV show from it's a Nickelodeon TV show, right?
Cartoon Network, I think.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Magus XLR.
Magus.
You love giant robots. I love giant robots. We dig giant. It's a great show.
That sounds awesome.
It was the theme song.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fucking great. But quite an impressive little movie that she made. I mean, you always have to imagine what it's like to make your first feature film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And the challenge that entails, moving from
Yeah.
either writing or art directing or
Yeah.
short film directing to feature film directing and making a sequel to one of Pixar's most beloved movies.
Yes.
So
And a great job.
So just a quick back of the box. Inside Out came out when?
This weekend.
No,
This
the first
past
one.
weekend.
The first one,
Oh,
Cole.
sorry.
Sorry.
Inside Out 1.
And that gave us
2015.
2015. That gave us Child Psychology 101.
Yeah.
It gave this lovely teaching device for teachers, for parents,
Yeah.
to help kids understand their feelings. So here we are inside the brain of our character Riley. We actually spend in Inside Out 1, we spend the majority inside her head.
Yeah.
They said that if it was a feature film of just her outside her body, it's like 15 minutes, 10 minutes out of like an hour and a half. So, and we get to meet these characters which play her core emotions, and it's her being a little kid, right? The first one.
Yeah.
And her growing up, and we all remember, if you've seen it, one of the saddest parts is the bing bong scene, where she is now having to sort of say goodbye to her childhood imaginary friend. So it was all about her growing up, and now in Inside Out 2, Riley is hitting puberty. She's on the cusp of this change. She's now 13, and her headquarters get demolished, and overnight. This is the crazy part, is that it's overnight.
Yes.
And new emotions come into play. The biggest and the most prevalent is anxiety, but also comes jealousy, embarrassment, and one of the more interesting characters, ennui. Yeah. I got to see it last Wednesday, which was lovely. Disney put this whole thing together at Monte Cassino. I thought it was going to be the small little media screening just for journalists. And then when I arrived, it was this huge pageantry. They took over the whole of Monte Cassino, and they built these little rooms, like a room for anxiety, a room for jealousy, and you could take photos and interact and do all these things.
That's cool.
And the media got to see it first. And then when we came out, that's when sort of all these kind of invited public were then going to go see it.
Okay.
And Disney were also very smart. They had a really great, and I think she's very much a published sort of author, celebrity, child psychologist called Nikki Bush. And they took us upstairs to a part of the Monte Cassino movie complex I'd never been to, which was like the smoker lounge, which is bizarre. But it makes sense that if you like VIP and you smoke, you go up to this room before you watch a movie. I don't know. I never knew it existed. But up in this room where we then had this chat with her, and she spoke to media, and we had a whole discussion after the screening about what she picked up, what she learned.
Right.
And I'll try and feed that into our conversation as we go.
Cool.
Have you seen it, Graeme?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, Cole and I watched it yesterday.
Lovely. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
I think what's amazing, and I think we can talk quite plot, because I think what we're going to be talking to really on the show is parents who will perhaps need to understand our chat so they can hear the plot points. I don't think it's about spoilers in this movie.
Right.
And we can just talk about why we love it and what made it so special.
Yes.
What I loved, and I'll just start this off, is that the whole movie is about her sense of self.
Yes.
Which I think is magical. That your core memories now can build these beliefs. And the way that they show it is that these little memory balls, which you might remember from the first one, can go down into sort of deep into her brain. So they show it by this.
Subconscious, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, they show it via this lift that they take it down and put it in this kind of magical pool. And from that, a belief grows. And this belief is shown by the strand that goes up to the headquarters, and it builds this kind of plant.
Yeah.
And that becomes like your sense of self. And the movie centers around 3 or 4 days where you get the sense she's just finished like her kind of primary school era, and she's about to go into high school, and she's been given the opportunity to go on a hockey camp. And she's got to decide some core things about her future, because she discovers that her besties are not going to go to the same high school as her.
Yeah.
So this induces a certain amount of anxiety, and we've got the character anxiety that now has arrived, and her sense of self is being challenged and broken. And anxiety makes a good, strong case as to why anxiety needs to take over. And joy needs to step aside.
Yeah, it's because of who Riley needs to be, not who she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joy is protecting who she is because she wants to preserve that I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is it's good conflict because you can see the validity of that.
Yes.
But then anxiety comes in and says, I need to protect who Riley needs to be because she's not going to have any friends in high school and she needs to make friends with the new cool hockey girls.
Yeah.
Right?
And I just love the fact that you're setting up this anxiety character to be somewhat of a villain, but not. Because you completely understand where anxiety is coming from. Anxiety has her best interests at heart and is there to help her.
Absolutely.
And so you get it. You make the cases being made.
Yes. It's interesting to imagine being a person that is young and hasn't had a relationship or a road or a walk with anxiety yet.
Yes.
Watching that.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of envious of teenagers now because then I can imagine anxiety as that little monster. I remember Bill Hader spoke about anxiety as this little monster on his shoulder that you have to learn to live with.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. He was recast in this.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He
didn't
was
even
Fear
notice.
in the last movie.
Yes.
Oh, he wasn't this time.
And Mindy Kaling was discussed and she was also recast.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
didn't even
I did
notice.
that wasn't And then what's exciting is you get to understand these new characters.
Yes.
But the one thing that I want to just say now, and perhaps why I loved this movie so much within a minute, is I have a niece that's just turned 13.
Right.
Okay.
And she's blonde and she has braces. So she looks so much like Riley. So
Does she play hockey?
Well, she plays field hockey.
Oh, cool.
And our character here is playing ice hockey. And I just got all gooey and sentimental, and I just loved this because I could now better understand what my niece Tylee is going through.
Yes.
And of course, it brings back your own childhood.
Yeah.
And so this is very much a teaching tool to remind you. But at the core of it, and this is the one thing that this woman, Nikki Bush, said first, is that this helps bridge the gap between parents and kids. And it's just so exciting to have that tool,
Right.
where you can say, oh, this is an anger moment. This is an anxiety moment. This is a whatever moment. And you can help and you can talk to your kids. And that there's a particular age. She reckons 8, 9, 10 is like the perfect age to go with your kid to watch this movie.
Right.
By she says by sort of 13, 14, perhaps it's borderline getting uncool to go to the movies with your kids. And then you sort of perhaps a bit past puberty. But it was just about the core. That's the thing, is that they didn't touch on, what puberty brings in terms of feelings and sexual feelings and any of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't about that. It was about friends. It was about friendship, and it was about sense of self
Yes.
and anxiety and that anxiety and how it's well-meaning and how there's this, and then of course, so they get banished. Anxiety banishes these core emotions, and then the whole movie is these core emotions trying to come back to headquarters to reason with anxiety and to help,
Yeah.
reaffirm her sense of self.
Yes.
And you go into the imagination room. I forget what it's called,
Imagination Land.
but it's a whole bunch of writers that are writing scenarios.
That was amazing, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a great way
blew
of
my mind.
And Riley's is trying to fall asleep, but anxiety is controlling her imagination, saying, we've got to come up with all the scenarios.
Yes.
What if this happens? What if that happens? And these writers are like busy
I love how
writing
they were
these storyboards that
they were
then-
old school animators.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the light tables.
Yeah.
And it just shows you that whoever's in control of that will determine. Then eventually Joy breaks into the room and, tells the writers, but what happens if she wins? What happens if she makes great friends?
Yeah.
Like, let's have some fun imagination here.
Yes.
And then that's what puts her to sleep.
I hate that South Park has ruined Imagination Land for me as well. I can't watch anything
Oh, no,
without
thankfully I'm
a
safe.
South Park reference. Just I'm fucking it up.
And so I think one of the cores to mention is that this is such a smart movie. And
It's like overall Inside Out 1 and 2 is just a smart device
Yes.
to explore emotions
Yeah.
and to explore its relationship. Because, I was so surprised by the core belief thing because that was something my therapist and I stumbled upon like 4 years ago, maybe,
Right.
which was like, what is that core belief about who you are? Like,
Lovely.
and how do you know what that is? Like, do you have an awareness of it?
What do
Or-
what do you stand for? What
Yeah.
what kind of person do you want to be known as? What's your legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. Eh?
Yeah. It's not even what you stand for or like your legacy. It like informs how you operate in the world. We saw that with Riley, right?
Yes.
Where what was anxiety's belief that she developed with her?
Well, it was that I'm not good enough.
Yes.
But
I'm not
what
good
hap-
enough.
so
Yeah,
what
so
happens
she starts she starts cheating in the game, right? She starts like being
she's-
combative with the other players and stealing hockey pucks from her teammates and pushing everyone around in order to score the goal.
Yeah.
So she starts becoming antagonistic on the ice field.
Yeah.
Ice field?
Yeah.
Rink?
The ring.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
On the ice. Full stop.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting is that anxiety took over as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And this new sense of self then started getting created. So she started putting these memories into that little pool. It created these beliefs, which, as I said, went up and created this new tree in their headquarters. Instead of this tree glowing, saying, I'm a good person, this new tree was forming. And when it got formed and it said, I'm not good enough,
Yeah.
anxiety actually was heartbroken.
Yes.
Because anxiety didn't want that to be the case.
Yes.
And
That's cool. Anxiety, the antagonist of the film, learns the lesson.
Yeah.
And-
That
and-
Joy
and
learns
goes-
in the previous
Yeah.
movie.
Yes.
it's so, Jesus, it's good. And then, of course, one or two of the other characters which are delightful is Embarrassment, who doesn't say much.
Yeah.
It's just this big person, like physically big, so always kind of in the way,
Yes.
which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Doesn't say much, just wants to disappear, so it spends most of the time like pulling the hoodie over its face.
Yeah.
And this other character, which is played by this sort of French-ish woman
Yeah.
who lies on a chaise-longue and just spends all her time on her phone, and is the character is called Ennui, which
Yeah.
is sort of that when a little kid goes like meh, like whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you remember
Which is-
blue is the warmest color?
I know of the movie.
It was the hardcore French lesbian movie
Okay.
that was like all the rage when it came out and very
Okay.
controversial.
Yeah.
But Adele, like the actor's name is Adele,
Yeah.
and she was also the lead actress in it. Like her character's name was Adele. She's the voice of
She's the voice of Ennui.
Ennui.
Right.
And there's one moment
Like
where
step aside.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's this one moment, it's sort of Ennui's sort of big moment where she takes over and controls the situation and basically introduces this idea of sarcasm.
Yeah.
And did you get that?
Not
The moment-
immediately.
Oh, I got it immediately. So the moment,
Really?
the moment she takes over and introduces sarcasm into the mind of Riley,
Yeah.
a actual earthquake shift in the ground happens in front of our characters, and immediately I was like, chasm,
Yeah.
sarcasm. This is going to be called a sarcasm. It's so smart.
It's
and
brilliant.
Then, and then there's a later on when she needs to come up with ideas and she's having a brainstorm, and so
Yeah.
of course this is played out as an actual storm in the brain with our characters.
Yes,
There's
with
a
all the
great
light
moment-
bulbs.
Yeah, there's a great moment where near the beginning where these core emotions are jailed. They put away. They banished. And then at one point, one of the characters says, "We're suppressed emotions."
Yes.
And it's like it's so smart. And they go into this jail that has her like secret crush and her dark secret
Yes.
embodied by these physical elements. That's what I'm saying. I'm not afraid to give away spoilers because this is just all these ways in which it was so smart,
Yeah.
and all these ways in which we want to share with you why it was so clever.
Yes. Yeah. It's very revealing because you can't help but watch it and put that lens onto yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like sit there and think about, oh, what emotions have I suppressed? Or like what happens when anxiety takes over my dashboard?
Yeah.
And then they were saying, how do you stop anxiety? I was saying this to Graham and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I was like,
As the 33-year-old,
Yes.
when they were like saying, how do you stop anxiety? And I was very curious to see what they were going to
Yeah.
do.
Well, yeah, I think it's great to show the fact that you do need some anxiety.
And also the relationship, because this is what like one of the most successful forms of therapy in the world is called cognitive behavioral therapy. I don't know if you know of this.
Tell us about it.
So I don't know what one of those relationship triangles are called. When you talk about a love triangle in the movie, you talk about in any form of business, there's the price of something, its quality, and its time. and you can only
Right.
sacrifice one of those things, right?
Okay.
In cognitive behavioral therapy, it's your feelings inform your thoughts, inform your behavior,
Okay.
and vice versa, all the way around the triangle.
It's about the balance of those three.
Yes, well, it's an awareness of the fact that they all reinforce each other, right?
Right.
And what I loved about that climax was when she said, how do you stop anxiety? And anxiety's taken over the dashboard. There's like the anxiety storm.
Yeah, which is basically this panic attack.
Exactly.
Where she's rendered useless.
Exactly.
Everyone couldn't do anything. It's sort of like in this sort of tornado, all action was failing.
Yeah.
It was like there was nothing happening.
Exactly.
And-
And none of the other emotions could break through into the storm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? It was interesting that Joy was the only one that could break through.
Yeah.
I was interested in that. But what happens is the feelings hug the core memory, like her core identity, and embrace her. So it's like self-love is what I saw there. But then the behavior that Riley manifests is breathing and controlled breath.
Yes.
And an awareness of touch on the bench and hearing the hockey puck on the... So it's meditation. It's like 100% what it is. And if you struggle with anxiety, they often talk about meditation as being... And you'll often hear people that are really anxious saying, meditation doesn't work for me. I was speaking
right.
to a whole bunch of people about it, and they're like, no, I've tried it, it doesn't work for me. That's like,
Okay.
that means you need to do it. Like 100%. You need to do it more, because if you can root yourself... Because that's the thing, you can imagine yourself being lifted off the ground when you're in an anxiety state.
Yeah, well,
And
you can
need
imagine
to-
yourself being in that storm.
Exactly,
This is what's
you
so
can
great. is
visualize
that
it, right?
The film gives you all these visual tools of what's going on.
Even the colors.
A little kid could imagine what that anxiety is. It's like that bright orange, colorful, wonky, crazy feeling.
Yes.
And in that anxiety storm, that tornado, you can imagine what that feels like. You rendered useless. She can't do anything. She doesn't do anything.
Yes. So you're imagining Riley going through all the thoughts, and that's anxiety, because anxiety is the emotion controlling the panel. And she's thinking all the things about, like, I'm a shit person because no one likes me in the hockey team. I'm not going to get into the high school team. My friends don't like me. It's all a mess, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a good person, or I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And then the feeling is self-love. The behavior that manifests there is like controlled breathing, touch, sound, awareness. It's very powerful stuff, actually, because you can talk or like teach a young person meditation if they struggle with anxiety and be like, remember when Riley did this, but
Yes.
Inside Out 2. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Something perhaps I think is an interesting observation that I had is that there isn't a character called Courage. There isn't a feeling that's manifested in a single entity in these movies called Courage.
Yeah, because there's fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that each one of those characters draws on courage and possesses courage and does something. So it's like courage is within all these emotions, which I
Yes.
thought was kind of interesting. Like one thing, once again, what Nikki Bush said was like, don't you think it's interesting that sadness saved the day?
Right.
And you're like, oh, that's right. Sadness, who usually doesn't do much. It's depression. Depression, you often are rendered quite useless.
Yeah.
You just stay in your bed. You don't want to go out. You don't want to engage. She actually has some agency, and it's her infiltrating the brain that actually leads to a lot of the problems being fixed.
Yes. No, it's wild.
It's like sadness having confidence or having being courageous.
Yeah, the powerful thing about the first movie is not just reading sadness as a negative emotion.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
Joy's
that's
problem.
like the whole point.
Because like sadness is the antithesis to her.
Yes.
Right? So it's like giving all emotions the space, and all emotions are healthy, even anger.
Yeah.
Giving
Yeah.
them all the space to play.
The whole of the first movie is basically about sadness being important for empathy.
Yes.
That's like the
Exactly.
central
the
idea,
central
yeah.
idea. Moving on from the serious chat, do you guys know that the dad from Inside Out 1 is like a highly objectified and desired character in the gay community?
Really?
You'll see memes. It's like my ideal man, and they're expecting you to cut to like Chris
Oh, you mean
Hemsworth.
the character?
Yeah, the dad in Inside Out 1.
Oh, that's
and it
nice.
cuts to the dad in Inside Out 1.
That's
Did you see the moment where they were dropping Riley off the high school weekend practice thing?
Yeah.
And then the dad, it's a 2-shot from the front of the car, like tracking in past them to go to Riley's friends in the back seat. And before it does, dad looks at wife and says, "So big weekend for us. What do you want to do?" And he like winks his eyebrows and goes, and then she says, "Oh yeah, we got to clean out the garage." And he's like, "Oh."
No, it's lovely. They give you enough tidbits, and this is what Perrin has often said. This is what makes a good family movie: is that the dad can watch this movie and identify himself as the dad, and what makes it. What it means to be a dad.
Yes.
And the mom, when they cut, that's always been what's so special about these movies is you spend the majority of your time in the mind of this little girl, but then it does cut to the parents, and it's so funny to see the parents' reaction going, "What? This is all we get?"
Yes.
Fuck. Or the mom going, "Oh my God, it's happening. Stick to the script.
Yeah.
Stick to the script. We know how to coach this kid through puberty."
You know what's something that I was very acutely aware of watching this I'm guessing it's because I'm queer. I don't know. But Riley's characters have different genders.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But her mom's characters are all female in her brain. Her emotions are all female, and her dad's emotions are all male.
Interesting.
Nice.
Like they all have a mustache in her dad's brain.
Yes.
All have like the
Sort of a hair.
long hair,
Yeah.
and then I was sitting there
Interesting.
going like, oh, why do Riley's some of her emotions are male? Because they go into the other black parents' heads, and then you see the voices are even male and female, like the same matching thing.
Interesting.
And I was thinking, oh, this would be a really cool device for like queerness
For
and
Inside
queer
Out
identity.
3, where she becomes a little
She
bit of
become-
everything.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I just want to touch on another thing. I mean, we can always come back to Inside Out, but when we screened it at the Bioscope, I played a trailer for another movie.
Okay.
And I just want to chat about something else, if that's cool.
Yeah. How
Or do you-
dare
do-
you change topic?
Do you feel we
Yeah,
can
we're
move
done.
on a bit?
Yeah, we can move on.
We screened the trailer for The Wild Robot, which is a movie that's coming at the
okay.
end of September.
Oh, I remember this. So that was when did that trailer came out? That came
Well,
out.
this
a while
is now
ago.
a new trailer. This is the next
Okay,
trailer. The
cool.
first trailer was quite romantic.
Yes.
And quite simple and didn't have a lot of speaking. Now we can
Yeah.
see more character and more plot. But we wanted to screen it before Inside Out here at the Bioscope because we want to tell people it's coming. We want to get them excited about it. This is advertising 101, right?
Yeah.
Plant a little seed that this movie's coming in, even if it's in 4 months' time. And it's a delightful movie. It looks great. It looks perfect for the Bioscope. It looks like Wall-E meets the Iron Giant.
Right.
So it's got this kind of simpleness in the beginning, and some of the distributors have said it's a bit slow to begin with. And I was like, remember, Wall-E was a bit slow.
Yeah.
Nobody spoke for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is it's this robot that's landed on Earth long time ago, who knows when, and this robot befriends, other wild animals in this forest, and like imprints itself on this little duckling, till eventually when the duckling has to migrate, and it looks like other robots then come to Earth, and it now defends Earth. You can get it all from the trailer, but it looks delightful and great. It dawned on me, this kind of marketing is what we missed when the strike happened.
Right.
So people have focused on the fact that the movies couldn't be released, that production couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think one of the least spoken about aspects of that writer's strike, and you remember this from Oppenheimer, they walked out
Yeah.
halfway through the screening. When that happened, those actors walked out because they could no longer talk about their projects.
Yeah.
Remember, we
Yeah, they
we
couldn't
spoke
market
about
them
this.
anymore. Yeah.
Actors marketing what they had coming out was sort of something they couldn't do as part of the strike. So you forget what the months of not marketing and talking about their projects did for cinema. And I think the first half of this year, cinemas have sort of been cucking themselves secretly and publicly when certain films haven't done well. There'll always be flops, right?
Yeah.
Something like Furiosa we've spoken about, which is like, let's not forget it's a fucking bonkers apocalyptic world
Yes.
where it's violent and it's crazy and it's Australian. But something like Fall Guy, we all said, Jesus, how the fuck did that not do that well? And it's because it came out like quite early out in the year, like April. So it needed months of just buzz, just little simmering. When you cook something on the stove, it takes a while before it bubbles.
Yeah.
You can't expect bubbles straight away. You can't just turn on your stove and the bubbles are there. Fuck, it takes ages. We know this. It's the same as marketing.
Yes.
So Fall Guy needed the heat on it from
It's a really good point
from
because
the
I
end of
remember
last
like
year.
the awareness of Fall Guy happening really close to Fall Guy releasing.
I saw it coming and I was like, oh my God, this looks amazing. It's the guy from Bullet Train with Gosling and Emily Blunt, and the trailer looks funny. And then of course I watched the movie and I was like, this is so good.
Yes.
It's got everything. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And then you go, fuck, why didn't it do well? And I think that was one of the fundamental things. You can't,
Right.
the guys who watched the trailer here in the bioscope will forget about Wild Robot. But it's there. It's deep in their memory because they watched the trailer and they remembered it. So when they see a billboard, they go, oh yeah, I watched it. I watched the trailer back in,
Oh, the trailer to this looks so good.
Yeah.
You know what I miss?
Yo.
What I would do at all the movie places, like at the shopping centers,
Yes.
is if we arrived,
Yeah.
and this is before the days of the internet, it was a habit. So like we'd arrive at Cresta, the parents would go to Mugga Bean, or we'd often sit at Seattle and read books.
Yeah.
So I would walk to the Steak-Kennicor and I would go down, the aisle that you would walk. Well, I don't know if it was the same at other
Yeah.
Steak-Kennicors back in the day, but when you left the cinema, you would walk up this ramp and then all the coming soon posters were on display there with the dates.
Yeah.
And I would go check the coming soon posters. First, I'd see what's on, and then I'd go see the coming soon posters and like memorize all the release dates,
Right.
and have such an awareness of what was coming and when, and also being I don't know what's the word, fascist. I don't know, fucking hardcore about watching the goddamn trailers before the movie. And my friends were like, no, let's be late and stand in the queue and miss the trailers. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why do you want to miss the trailers?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to know what's coming out?
No.
Yeah, that feeling is obviously gone with the age of digital.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think marketing, will always be smarter and will always figure itself out. And if there aren't as many eyeballs in the cinemas themselves, then these adverts will be somewhere else. But they could not advertise a movie like The Fall Guy for months when it really should have been advertised. They missed lead up time. So with every month that goes out now,
Yes.
they've just had one more month to advertise. They've had just that much more, and I think it'll certain things will recover. But I just think the start of this year got people in a little bit of a tiz. And of course, your average person and the person listening to this, you don't give a fuck. But the cinemas were worried. The entertainment world has been worried.
Yeah.
And people are forgetting the fundamental things, which is like, let's not forget, no one could advertise. They couldn't go on podcasts to talk about the films. They couldn't plant those little seeds. So we've just had 6 months of
it's also
of funny, weird growth. Where it's like, surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2023, right? That was the strike last year because my perception of time is fucked.
Yeah.
So I can't remember when anything was. But if you think about it, before that we had COVID.
Which also just completely upturned everything.
Right.
It flipped everything up on its side. And movies were never going to be the same through that.
And we were having that chat earlier that Luca turning red, was it anything else? No, Buzz was the first one to come out in cinema. After that, I think.
Lightyear.
Yeah. Is that we were always like really excited. I remember the perception is that we were fucking stoked for the next Pixar movie.
All right.
I was like kind of getting Pixar fatigue, but that's another discussion. But it was like the new Pixar movie was a thing, the annual Pixar release. I remember you and I spoke about this when The Good Dinosaur came out when we went to watch it. But then all of a sudden they were coming to your living rooms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that does something to you. I think that does something to audiences when the kind of movies that we just get straight to our televisions and it isn't the big cinema release
we're sort of
and how that's changing. Because from the context back in the day, that means a straight to DVD release.
Yes.
I don't know if that connotation is generational, like with us.
Well,
like
it used to
coming
be
from that.
straight to video, it was straight to TV,
Yes.
straight to DVD, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and this is partly also what I was saying about what's so interesting about the evolution. Let's not call it the failure of cinema right now. Let's just talk about what's exciting about how the world is changing.
Yes.
Is that movie stars are now on TV shows. They're completely blurred.
Yeah.
Where before, you would never have Tom Hanks, or you would never have Nicole Kidman in a TV show or a mini series.
Yes.
Fuck no, they're movie stars.
I saw there was a
and
prequel.
that's all blurring.
Yeah.
With COVID, the rapid rise of something like Disney Plus was key and important. And so now all those things were changing, where it was like now you were getting these mainstream, like huge releases happening simultaneously because they just wanted to be in front of eyeballs.
Yeah.
But
It's
fascinating
good
how the
to
world's
bring it
changing.
back to Inside Out too, because anxiety is voiced by Maya Hawke. The first thing I did when I got home is I looked up who voiced anxiety, because that was some of the best voice acting work I'd seen recently. Because I watched Inside Out 1 2 nights ago again, and I was just like, I fucking love Amy Poehler so
dude,
much.
She's the
so
perfect
good
person
in that
for
movie.
Joy.
She is like incredible, and Phyllis Smith as Sadness from The Office.
Yeah, that's right. That's her.
Yeah, but like Maya Hawke, she became big on Stranger Things. She was
Yeah.
like nobody.
Yeah.
And then she got into Stranger Things. We all fell in love with her instantly. She like suddenly became the star.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Right?
is Ethan Hawke's daughter.
Yeah, and Uma Thurman.
Yeah, lovely. Hey.
Yeah.
And I love how, and one last little thing, I love how nostalgia comes in.
Yeah, the granny.
And it's just this little granny that she's, Riley's now old enough to have these nostalgic memories.
Yes.
And everyone's like, not now.
Yeah, not yet, not yet.
Not yet. Like, go back in.
I really want them to take a dig at like Star Wars fans or something. Like in a third Inside Out movie where she's like in her 30s and she's got a husband. You go into the husband's brain and the husband's like, I don't know, wearing an Ewok jersey or something.
Yeah, lovely. Well, listen, guys, I think, it was just such a fun, delightful movie. I left it like giddy. I don't know whether you could tell from my voice note to you guys where I was like, this is fucking good.
Yeah. You
I
never
was-
send voice notes like that after a movie.
I must say, I left this and I said, I brought a lot of my own personal stuff. I was thinking of my niece and nephew. We're looking at kids next year.
Wild.
Myself and Liz, we're looking to kind of do that next year. And so immediately you're like, okay, this is not about like grown-up cinephiles talking about movie shot, whatever. This is something so much bigger. It's so smart. It's a clever movie, and it's an important movie.
Yes.
And I'm with great pride screening it at the bioscope because this is a tool. It's a tool that can just help so many people understand what's going on in their life, making them conscious of their sense of self, their core beliefs. We need it. we
do.
We need it.
We do need films like this.
It's great. So go out and watch it. If you want to come in or are able to come to the bioscope, please come through. But can't recommend it enough. And look out for things like The Wild Robot. That's at the end of September.
Cool.
We didn't have too much time to talk about too much else, but we're talking about everything. This is what's so lovely about Inside Out. It's one movie, but here we are talking about psychology and therapy. And so lovely. Thank you, guys. Thank you for today.
Cool.
And thank you for listening. Our home base is thevideostore.co.za, and as I said, we've got one more episode that's going to come out this week with the filmmaker Sarah, and we hope to see you again for that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, guys. Thanks, Bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.